In 1980, the average person encountered about 40 advertisements a day. Today, some estimates say you absorb over 10,000, not because you chose to, because the modern world is fighting for your nervous system every second you're awake. And strangely, the people struggling the most with this new reality are often the people who remember life before the internet existed at all. Why are so many pre-internet adults suddenly anxious, angry, exhausted, obsessed with conspiracies, doom-scrolling at 2 a.m., or feeling like the world has gone insane? Did society actually break? Or did human biology simply never evolve for this kind of reality? Because hidden underneath smartphones, algorithms, and social media, there's a terrifying possibility. Modern civilization may be accidentally running the largest psychological experiment in human history. And the first people trapped between both worlds are the ones freaking out the most. To understand why this is happening, you first need to understand how unbelievably slow human life used to be. For almost all of human history, nothing happened. Seriously, a person born in 1200 might die in 1270, having lived almost the exact same life their grandparents lived. Same tools, same village, same religion, same routines, same stories. Even in the early 1900s, life still moved at a biological pace. People woke with sunlight, worked locally, knew maybe 100 to 200 people their entire lives. News traveled slowly, many families ate the same meals every week for decades. And most importantly, human identity came from physical reality. Your town, your church, your job, your family name, your neighbors, you existed somewhere real. Then suddenly, humanity invented a machine capable of collapsing the entire planet into one nervous system, the internet. And almost nobody understands how violently fast this happened. The first iPhone came out in 2007. That's it. That means millions of people alive today spent over half their lives in one reality and then got thrown into a completely different civilization almost overnight. Imagine spending 45 years learning how reality works, only for the rules to suddenly mutate in less than a decade. That's essentially what happened to pre-internet generations, and the human brain hates rapid environmental change, especially older brains. Neuroscientists have known for years that younger brains adapt more easily to technological shifts because neural pathways are still highly flexible. Older adults can absolutely learn new systems, but adapting emotionally to entirely new forms of reality, that's different. Because the internet didn't just introduce new tools, it introduced entirely new psychological conditions humans had never experienced before. For example, before the internet, silence was normal. Today, silence barely exists. In the 1970s, a person could sit alone with their thoughts for hours, driving, fishing, walking, waiting, no notifications, no endless feed, no algorithm calculating exactly what emotion would keep them engaged longest. Now compare that to modern life. A person wakes up, checks their phone within minutes, absorbs political outrage from another continent, sees someone richer than them, someone younger than them, someone more attractive than them, reads about economic collapse, AI replacing jobs, war, celebrity scandals, climate panic, all before breakfast. The human nervous system was never designed for this, and there's actually a famous experiment that may explain why modern people feel psychologically trapped. In the 1960s, scientist John B. Calhoun created something called Universe 25, a perfect paradise for mice. Unlimited food, unlimited water, no predators, no disease. At first, the mice thrived, the population exploded. But then, something horrifying happened. The mice began showing bizarre social behavior. Isolation, aggression, obsessive grooming, withdrawal from mating, violence, mothers abandoning offspring, and eventually, despite having everything needed to survive, the colony psychologically collapsed. Now, obviously, humans are not mice, but the experiment became famous because people noticed disturbing similarities to modern society: overstimulation, crowding, artificial environments, loss of purpose, social fragmentation, and endless passive consumption. Even worse, modern technology companies discovered something terrifying about human attention. Negative emotions spread faster than positive ones. Fear, outrage, humiliation, anger, they keep people engaged longer, which means algorithms slowly learned to feed people emotional stress because stressed humans stay online, especially older users. Because many pre-internet adults entered social media without understanding that platforms were engineered systems competing for psychological control. To them, Facebook initially felt like a harmless digital neighborhood, a place for family photos, old friends, simple connection. But over time, the feed changed. More outrage, more fear, more emotional manipulation, more political tribalism, more conspiracy content, more rage. And many people never noticed the transition happening. They thought they were freely choosing content, when in reality, the content was increasingly choosing them. And here's where things become deeply strange. Pre-internet generations grew up trusting information systems. If something appeared on television, people assumed somebody verified it. If it was in a newspaper, there were editors, gatekeepers, standards. But the internet destroyed gatekeepers almost instantly. Now, a random anonymous account can psychologically affect millions of people overnight. True information competes equally with false information, and human brains are terrible at processing this, especially older brains trained for a completely different information ecosystem. Researchers have found that older adults are significantly more likely to share misinformation online, not because they are less intelligent, but because their brains evolved socially in an era where published information usually passed through trusted institutions first. The internet weaponized trust itself. And then came something even worse: infinite comparison. For most of history, humans compared themselves to maybe a few dozen people nearby. Now, a 58-year-old man in a small town compares his life to billionaires, influencers, celebrities, athletes, crypto millionaires, and AI entrepreneurs every single day. The result: a permanent feeling of falling behind, even if life is objectively okay. And psychologically, this creates something called relative deprivation, one of the strongest predictors of unhappiness. Not absolute suffering, relative suffering, feeling like others are advancing while you are standing still. Social media industrialized this feeling. But there's another hidden reason pre-internet generations feel destabilized lately. Their identities were built for permanence. Modern identity is built for fluidity. In previous generations, people often stayed in the same career, the same marriage, the same city, the same belief system, sometimes for life. Today, everything changes constantly. Jobs disappear, cultural norms mutate, language evolves yearly, technology replaces skills rapidly, even basic concepts about work, gender, success, relationships, and reality itself feel unstable. For younger generations raised online, instability feels normal, but for people raised in stable structures, this feels psychologically catastrophic. It's not just confusion, it's grief. The grief of watching the world stop resembling the one that shaped you. And strangely, many younger people don't fully understand this, because if you grew up online, your brain adapted differently. You learned meme language before formal communication. You developed multiple digital identities. You learned how to emotionally detach from constant information flow. You instinctively understand that half of the internet is performance. But many older adults still process online reality emotionally and literally. So when they consume outrage online, their nervous systems react as if the danger is physically happening nearby, and that creates chronic stress. Now add one final ingredient: AI. Because for pre-internet generations, AI represents something uniquely terrifying, not just technological change, but the possible collapse of human certainty itself. For centuries, humans believed certain things made us special: creativity, writing, art, problem-solving, conversation. Now, suddenly, machines can imitate all of them, and whether AI truly thinks or not almost doesn't matter psychologically, because emotionally, it feels like reality itself is becoming unstable. For someone who already survived television, globalization, the internet, smartphones, social media, economic collapse, pandemics, AI feels like the final acceleration.